So my definition of health, just very briefly, is that you are sleeping comprehensively with correct sleep hygiene. That's fairly simple, but it's a very important part. You're consuming adequate amounts of protein, amino acids, carbs, and fats, which are healthy and unprocessed. You have a 360-degree breathing pattern nasally for basically 5 to 6 seconds in and out, conscious of it throughout the day with a repertoire of breathing tools to use as you see fit to either accelerate your heart rate and release adrenaline, or to slow you down, or to meditate, etc. You get the idea, but basically focus or relaxation upon will. You should have a comprehensive ability and proprioception to move your body through any which way it should be able to move. You should have a comprehensive fascia network and train it accordingly through mobility exercises. You should have multiple different cardio gears and train all of them, everything from walking to jogging to sprinting. You should have explosive strength, static strength, and just what I call regular old utility endurance strength. And all of these things, again, should be to the best of your abilities. I mean, we could get into fine tuning some other things as well, but essentially, this is what I coach through. All right, so welcome to Castle's Corner. Hello, I am Coach Castle, joined by Marie. She has been a client for a little while now, and we're going to be talking about her experience with my methods, with the level of efficiency that I bring to the workouts, and actually what it's like to train with me, as well as what one of my plans actually looks like, because you got a physical copy you can look at, so that's kind of nice. And then we're going to dig into your first week, because it was your first week of your new plan, and I'm sure you learned a lot. But anyways, welcome back. Let's talk about it, and I'll just try to stay quiet. Go ahead and ramble about all the torturous suffering I put you through.
You staying quiet, I have a tough time believing, but yes, thank you so much for having me back. And like you said, it's only been a week. However, I think it's worth mentioning that we had some time before I actually started this program. So for those of you who listen, I think I saw you from end of October. So we're talking about 7 weeks, and now looking back, or 6 weeks, and looking back at that, I look at that as my prep time, to be honest. And you taught me a lot of basics and fundamentals. So kind of prepare my body physically, but also just your teaching and training style, some theories and facts and science and physics and all that. So I could go into this program more informed and educated. And I felt like that was really important. So I would encourage people to do that, to spend a few weeks with you to get accustomed to your way and the thought process. And then when I got the program, I thought it was going to be a pretty basic program, but it was like 210 pages. And again, like you just keep blowing me away with your how comprehensive it is. I know you say it's simple, but I think that's just relative to who you are. I don't think it's simple for people, regular people. And I should also mention for those who listen that I am considered a professional in this field, right? So I'm a movement therapist, I'm a manual therapist. I've been spending 25 years in health and fitness. So I don't say that lightly. So when I met Castle, I spotted right away that his way of training was unlike the traditional gym, which I don't agree with for many reasons. So I love the functionality. So I wrote down a few things that I have experienced now over this time. And I'm very, how do I say that? Like I'm surprised. I'm not surprised based on who you are and how in depth you are and what I heard, but I'm still very blown away with the results in such a short period of time. I'm someone who consistently for 30 years have worked out 5, 6 times a week. Like I have stayed consistent through my whole life. I'm 43. So the few things that I put down, so today was my day 7, and there's so much I've learned. But the few fundamental changes is the fact to actually have a plan and a program.
Mhm.
That sounds so simple, and I have overlooked the importance of having a strict schedule, a strict plan to follow. So I wake up, I don't have to think, I don't have to make the decision. I follow the plan to a T, right? So that has many benefits to me, but for me, it is the relief of not having to think, not having to put in that mental work, because I do this for a living as well. And it's taught me that I don't just work out because of what I feel that day. It's actually a thought out plan that an individual day doesn't make sense, but over a week and then over a month and over 3 months and 6 months and 12 months, I can see where this is going to take me. And this program particularly is 90 days, right? So if I made this progress in this short period of time, I can't even imagine where I will be in 90 days. So it's extremely encouraging. It's changed my viewpoint, to be honest with you. You've challenged my ways of thinking. I'm very open. I'm willing to say, hey, I was wrong. I have no problem doing that. So as a professional, I've had extensive personal and professional growth when I've done this program. So just the program alone was one, and having the structure that it provides. And I think I've underestimated the planned rest days.
Mhm.
So even if it feels so, again, for the listeners here, I have basically two goals. It's strength, and then there's a running component. So I want to achieve goals in both those categories. And my first thought when you had me do, one assisted chin up and then resisting down for like 20 seconds, I was like, where is this going to take me? you know? So, and same with running. I think my first run was 0.5 mile, and I was like the block twice. And I'm someone who goes out jogging for 30 minutes, right? So I was like, all right, I gotta just completely start clean slate. And I'm very happy I've done that, because I think that's one thing when just even average Joe, right? A person who considers themselves being fit and in shape and working out, for anyone who listens, I think my one advice would be to fully surrender and fully just go through the process and not question it, regardless of what you've done before.
If I may, real quick, I just
Mhm.
want to point out something, and we were just talking about this a moment ago, but I've never actually, again, I apparently have high standards, but I've never trained anybody, any athlete, any bodybuilder, any so-called normal person, any doctor, any personal trainer. I've trained all kinds of people, and I've never trained anybody who was healthy by my definition. And I would like to stress, I don't think I have a high definition of health, but apparently I do. So my definition of health, just very briefly, is that you are sleeping comprehensively with correct sleep hygiene. That's fairly simple, but it's a very important part. You're consuming adequate amounts of protein, amino acids, carbs, and fats, which are healthy and unprocessed. You have a 360-degree breathing pattern nasally for basically 5 to 6 seconds in and out, conscious of it throughout the day with a repertoire of breathing tools to use as you see fit to either accelerate your heart rate and release adrenaline, or to slow you down, or to meditate, etc. You get the idea, but basically focus or relaxation upon will. You should have a comprehensive ability and proprioception to move your body through any which way it should be able to move. You should have a comprehensive fascia network and train it accordingly through mobility exercises. You should have multiple different cardio gears and train all of them, everything from walking to jogging to sprinting.
Mhm.
You should have explosive strength, static strength, and just what I call regular old utility endurance strength. And all of these things, again, should be to the best of your abilities. I
Mhm.
mean, we could get into fine tuning some other things as well, but essentially, this is what I coach through. And again, it seems like a lot. I know I'll have you come to it in a second. It seems like a lot, but it's really not. I mean, you're with me for an hour and you'll do your mobility, plyometrics, you
Mhm.
do your breath work, you do your cardio, you do your workout, you do all of these things, and it's an hour. And an hour is 4% of your day. There's no reason to do all these things chained together in a row. You can divvy them up throughout your day. The point I'm making is if you can't even give your future self 4% of your day being trained efficiently, rewarding yourself with a better body and mind in the future, which again, we're not going to get into how that pays off in dividends, but you should be making your health your first priority. And it's 4% of your day.
Mhm.
It's pretty silly, you know. It's just a matter of understanding how and why it's important to train your fascia as well as your tendons, as well as your muscles through a different various, both sarcoplasmic and myofibril training, etc. But anyways, neither
Uh,
here nor there. Real quick, just because it's kind of funny to me. Two things you always say. You always say, "Oh, that's a good exercise," and you always say, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know I had these limits." And then I literally within 5 minutes, usually I've caused you to go through and overcome all your little fear-based limits. I mean, do you want to talk about that real quick? And by the way, it doesn't matter if we're on a video call or we're in person because we do both. So you
yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah.
cover some of those things real quick?
Absolutely. And I love how you put that in terms of just describing what health really is. And I think it's so many aspects of people think things are healthy and they really aren't. That's
Mhm.
one thing I love about this program and your approach. It feels at first overwhelming simply because we haven't been taught this. I think it comes from a place of we're being taught doing the same thing 3 times a week, and it's not really educated that way. So it feels like a lot. But once you start actually immersing yourself, which I have done, it quickly becomes a new habit. It becomes a new way of being. So you hit it on a few things. The variety. It keeps it really interesting. The results are like 1,000-fold. The different types of strength you putting me through, right? And the mindset, like my silly little fears. Okay, I'll share this. It's
There's
super
no such thing as a
humiliating.
silly fear, by the way. There's really no
No,
such thing.
but you know me, I'm fine sharing my humble moments with you. But I've had this like fear of jumping and even handstanding, a fear of falling, and just I've been stuck, like blocked. And like you pointed out, like you're athletic, you're physically capable, and there's no doubt in my mind that you should be able to do this. And by you instilling that belief and making me feel confident in my ability, you helped me to now my nervous system knows how to do it. It
But it's
was
also
literally
it's
like
also the get into the cues though, because cues
the
are
cues,
I don't talk
yes,
about cues enough, but cues are a huge thing that I do
huge.
with each client. Every
Mm-hmm,
client has very unique cues, and those
mm-hmm.
cues I also try to ingrain them through mnemonics as well for each client. So I mean, just
Well, that's
briefly
a
talk about
super,
cues.
like, that's a, I think one of your superpowers, to be honest. I've been around a lot of coaches, a lot of trainers, right? But you have a unique ability to be very customized. So I know you speak to me and my body and it resonates. And then once you've given me the right cues, and sometimes we have these hiccups and like, okay, that didn't work, but then you solve the puzzle and you just say the right thing and my body does it.
Mhm.
And it's a huge sense of victory. I think the one thing I mean, physically, I see the result. I'm gaining strength, I'm gaining more muscle definition, I'm getting more lean, all those benefits. But I think the one thing I appreciate even more is the confidence it gives me, the consistency. And I wrote down because of your approach, it's short distance, long distance, sprints, slow, all this stuff, all the variables. Not once have I felt overworked. Not once have I felt depleted. And I'm seeing you 5 to 6 times a week. Now, for those of you who listen, don't feel like you have to do 5 to 6 times a week. That's my goal, right? But that's how I want to go about it. But it's like, even though I've done so much training with you, there's been, I wrote down fast gains and no pains. Like, it doesn't feel like it stresses my joints at all. Have I been sore? Absolutely. But it's been healthy sore, something that hasn't stopped me from moving. And that's actually one thing when I show up, I just show up no matter what, right? Like, and in the past, I probably would have taken a rest day or I would have modified the workouts. And that's one thing you've taught me in this program. I'm blown away how much I can actually do day after day after day. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I've just been having this, wrong attitude towards, soreness and this and that. So, that's been my experience. And you also touched on breath, which I think is so underestimated. I thought I had done a lot on breath, and in some aspects I have in the past. But with you now taking into what I lacked was my abdominal breathing. I had taken it too far because I had this idea that I don't want to just lose the tonality in my abdominals, right? So I was over contracted in my core and abdominals. You spotted that, and it was with resistance because my tissue is like a balloon expanding. My belly couldn't expand until, that neurological connection happened. And now the bracing, just a simple thing, bracing before I exert. Like, I think yesterday we did the 35 pounds dumbbells with the decline chest press. My size, I'm 150 pounds, like I'm 5'5", and I'm pretty petite. Like, I've never lifted that kind of weight. And it's super encouraging. It's really empowering, and it feels efficient and safe.
Now, I get this criticism a lot, and I think it'd be kind of fun for you to put your opinion on this and maybe put it to rest a little bit. But I mean, doesn't matter if you're working with me online via Zoom or you're working with me in person, it's almost identical. But I know with my YouTube videos, I know with my podcast, and I know with my articles, I do not inject really any emotions. I don't really get personal. I don't share my personal life, my social media. I don't share my personal life. People have more than once called me a robot or a soulless machine, etc. The things is with my YouTube videos and my lectures and my debunking and my demystifying and my simple explanations of things and taking on the health industry, the fitness industry, doctors, chiropractors, etc., I get a reputation for being an emotionless asshole simply because I favor the truth and I
Mhm.
like efficiency. Two things I think are very important: truth
Mhm.
and efficiency, because we only get to live once, and you should
Mhm.
only, in my opinion, believe true things, or at least the most likely with given evidence things.
Mhm.
Now, that being said, it has caused people to consider me robotic. What is it like being coached by me? Because you're with me a lot of time. Is it just like I'm standing there like man, 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 or is it a good time? You know?
Well, first impression, I'll agree. It seemed like that at first glance. A few things I think people need to keep in mind. I think a lot of people just write their own narratives and they judge really fast. They lack an open mind. And if anything ticks them off or triggers them, they just want to trash it, right?
Or run
Especially
away?
someone who is as forward thinker as you are, innovator. You think of things differently. You aim to prove something to be accurate. And in today's world, unfortunately, people are more prone to feel good. They just
Mhm.
want to feel good. And they want you to say what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. And I'm the opposite. I want to be told what I need to hear. I don't want the fluff. I don't want the sugarcoating. Now, I will say, I think it would be nice with some more emotion sometimes. No, I've told you that, but I think I'm bringing that out of you. So,
But
no, I think it's very,
even while you're working out hard and stuff, though, I mean, sometimes you give me the looks like you want to stab me in the
oh,
neck with
yeah,
a rusty
yeah.
pair of chopsticks.
Yep.
But
I
you
had a
know,
moment when
you're
I
still,
wanted.
I mean, generally speaking, we're laughing, having a good
Yeah.
time. We're doing running, jogging,
Hmm.
plyometrics. We're doing all kinds of movements with weights. We're doing mobility. But at the same time, you're not sitting there out of breath. You're
Mm-mm.
having a good time. We're laughing and joking. We're talking about all
Absolutely.
kinds of interesting things. We're
Hmm.
going over martial arts. You're learning how to throw knives. We're having a good time. You're getting a new book learning about a whole bunch
Hmm.
of other different subjects on top of the things I'm already teaching you, etc. Like it's a good time. It's not like hanging out with an android.
No.
Back in the day, it used to just be called stoic. Nowadays, it's
Stoic, yeah.
you're an asshole, apparently.
Yeah, well, that's the judgment people place on people, right? But again, we live in a culture where everybody seeks to feel good. And I honestly think it's weakened a lot of people, that we're weaker now. And I appreciate that about you. Even this morning, we had like limited amount of time. Let's get to business. I appreciate that. I see it especially in the fitness, but most professions, when you go to get something done, they start talking, it becomes a social session. And what did you do yesterday? And then you spend half of the time just chit-chatting. And you and I both, what we share, we don't like small talk. If I'm going to talk, I'm going to talk about something really interesting, something very intellectual, something that stimulates me, something that makes me grow. And you touched on like even knife throwing or self-defense. You add these very useful skills, and it's lifestyle. I'm all for having a lifestyle where it's applicable and functionality, like you pointed out, range of motion and how we move. I literally said yesterday, I said, I don't think I'll ever, I actually canceled my gym membership. And I said, I don't see myself back in the gym ever. I don't see the application now because it's too sterile for me. I know some people need to, leave their homes and, no judgment. And there's a place and time for that. For me, I love being outside. I love being in the park, and I love all these different things that we have worked on and the variety of it. So that's extremely, I mean, I've never come across anyone who teaches and coaches like you do. And the whole judgment with robotic or stoic and so forth, like I appreciate it. I like straightforwardness. Like I said, I like to be told what to do. And like otherwise I'll start talking about something or get distracted. So you can switch. And then I crack myself up because I'm so silly sometimes. Sometimes I want to throw a dumbbell in your face, but then I was like, okay, let's just tame the angry
But
feelings.
I'm just happy you're so comfortable with me. You're willing to show me such rage. That's quite, you have to be comfortable with somebody for that. I hope you guys are enjoying this episode so far, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and comment, as it does help the channel a lot, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already. But
Yeah.
real quick, just because it doesn't get spoken about enough, and I know you've experienced both of these a lot. I mean, a lot of people hear me talk about the in-person clients because I can do filming with them, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't really do filming with online clients. Now, we've had quite a few classes where you were online with me doing your workouts or your breath
Mm-hmm.
work or whatever it is, and just also the plan itself. We'll get to that in a second. Your actual written plan, because you can testify. Me working out with you on Zoom and here, it's basically about the same thing. But just imagine if you didn't know me and you ordered the plan, kind of like that. But for
Mm-hmm.
right now, let's just the online workouts. Are they easy? Are they hard? Do you need anything to get them done? Have you ever had any difficulty with the online workouts or the online breathwork classes that we've done?
No. I mean, you mean comparing the virtual versus in person?
Yeah, no, it's basically the same, right?
It's very similar. I will always appreciate the in-person more, and simply because I'm tactile and I'm very visual. So when you give cue and you tap my elbow, you tap
Mhm.
my ribs, or it just sends that immediate signal to my nervous system. And I also love watching you doing it, so I can kind of like knowing what to go into. Those would be my preferences over being in person. Now, I travel, I should also mention that. I travel 50% of the time. So I'm away about 2 weeks every month, and this has not stopped me. So every time I go up north for my business, we always have my workouts planned out, and I make them work wherever I am in New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. We've been everywhere, right? And it's rather simple, and it's starting to become an integrated thing. Like, I mean, we talk every day, and there's something I apply every day in this program. The written out, I would say I would probably encourage people, even if they buy that program, it's one program that you will have for life, which is very important to underline. This is a one-time purchase, but you can literally have it for the rest of your life. I would highly recommend that they do hire you to
Go
go
ahead and
over it.
explain it, by the way. Every program I write is completely unique. Feel free to explain your program if you want to. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, probably need another 30 minutes for that.
I'm
So
kidding,
basically,
please.
it's 200 pages, which took me like 2 hours to print out, and the ink ran out. All the pages, I was like, this is by far the most comprehensive program I've ever gotten. But it was very methodically, it was, page by page describing some breath. So I start my day with Wim Hof breathing every morning now. Something I didn't do. I've done breath work, but not as structured. And now I time it, my 3 cycles every month, every morning. And this morning, I actually sent you the numbers. I was like, that was the first time when I saw an increase on day 7, right? And then I do my cold plunging. That's not part of the program, but I do it. And then I go and do the workout. A few things there is like you describe, there's all the details, body mechanics, there's all the explanation behind the running, how to avoid injury, and how to strengthen your, the tendons and the fascia, and all the literature that you could ever imagine. But it's comprehensive, but it's not overwhelming. I think anyone can understand it, and I love how well written it was. It was something that anyone can read and fully understand, but also get so much value from. And then it's week by week. So it's like a little chart that I fill out, how motivated I feel to work out every day, how many hours of sleep. I'm a good sleeper. I get my 8 hours, so that's not a problem. And I've been really, my motivation, interesting, I've circled 8s and 9s, and I probably is a 10, but I'm like super motivated every day. And that's despite very intense, trainings and changes. So I haven't slacked my motivation. And then you fill out, and then you write on the whiteboard what we have done. I take a picture, I go home, and then I document. So, and that's something I think is so important that a lot of people also underestimate, the idea of actually tracking, writing, thinking back, document. I'm a journaler. I've been journaling since I was like 10 years old, and I have a library full of journals, and there's value to that because you go back, you reflect, you get something out, and I think you store more in your brain too, and kind of your memory. So then I revisit. So like after I document, and then you feel good, you have those little check boxes, right? So when you check, you're like, it's a win, like. And I really think subconsciously, and I know that you have put so much thought into it, and someone like me, I think, can appreciate it because I am probably more informed than the average person because I'm a professional. But when I see this, I'm like, I see how you're hitting it at a mindset level, physical, emotional, confidence, like every single aspect. And I've seen such incredible results, inside out in very short period of time, and then keep a little tracker, and it just feels great. It feels like you have a focus every day, and you put yourself first, which I think it's key in today's, I think that's a mistake people make. I don't have time for health. Well, do you have time to invest in your health, or do you want to take time to be sick and broken?
I've never understood that anyway. It's cheaper to be healthy.
It's
I
cheaper to
mean,
be healthy.
ridiculously cheaper. And not only is it cheaper to be healthy, you have such a better life because
Yes,
you can
it's
do anything you want to do.
anything.
You always feel good and confident. You're always confident around other people. Other people treat you differently because just for being a normal, average, healthy human,
Mhm.
people look up to you like you're some kind of a god. It's very strange. I walk around, I'm not an impressive specimen by any degree, but I'm just an athletic, normally
Looking,
built
yeah.
human.
Yeah.
And everywhere I go, I'm not being a narcissist. I got people turning their heads, talking to me. Oh
Yeah.
my God, are you a personal trainer? Are you a this, that, or the other? I don't know why it is suddenly so strange to be a healthy human. It doesn't require me any more effort than about
I
60 minutes a day, you
Is that
know?
crazy? Like, I always love that. Like, I think there's people think you're crazy for wanting to be healthy and committed to that. And they think you're extreme. And to me, the craziness is how broken we've become, how little we invest, and we expect to feel good. Like you said, you walk around differently, you hold yourself differently, you have better relationships, you have better work stamina, you have everything, better focus, you have more pleasure, you have more dopamine, you have more serotonin, you just don't struggle. And I
Mhm.
don't want to, so I think that's where people have it wrong. They think, oh, I have to take a time away from what? Feeling shitty?
Well,
Like,
this is the thing. People will spend, give or take like $1,000 on a weekend vacation, right?
yeah,
You spend 500, you get the best possible health plan
for life.
walked through by for like 2 weeks by me, which lasts you the rest of your life. And you only have to apply yourself for a few minutes a day.
Mhm.
But why would you want to do that when you can go drink alcohol and do
Yeah,
drugs and
I
well, you
get what
drink
you're saying.
drugs too and screw off forever. I mean, there's a time and a place for that, but it's just one of those things. Don't have an ego about it, guys.
Mhm.
Don't be like, oh, well, that sounds like so much and I don't know how to be. Don't even worry about hiring me. Go watch some of my YouTube videos. Don't have an ego. Just get on your living room floor, try some of the stuff. That was cool. You learned about exercise. Watch some of my videos about diet. Apply that next time you go grocery shopping. Buy a copy of healthier things. This isn't a big thing. It's a long process. You're not racing anybody. Your only competition is yourself of yesterday. And your only
Mhm.
job is to get slightly better than yesterday. And if you keep doing that consistently, holy good God, you're a different person the next year. Again, I see it daily and weekly. I have all my clients. I see it happen. I see them go through it. I see them all start with the mentality of, oh no, this isn't for me. Oh, not me. Definitely not me. Oh, this life is so much. It's so, oh, all this complicated stuff. And then 2 weeks later, they're digging it. A month later, they're really digging it. 3 or 4 months later, they're done with me and they're digging it on their own, you know? And they're making, and I'm even more pleased when it's somebody who like you or a doctor or somebody, because then they take the information I give them, they digest it, and then they can use it to help other people. It's
100%.
fabulous. It's exactly what I'm looking for. But
I
I do
was
believe we got to
talking
start.
to I was talking to my clients about that, and we have cross referred, so I've been sending some clients to you, even from Boston, right? And they probably will never meet you, but they've started the program with you, and that's how important I think this is for people to see. You can work virtually, you can gain so much, but once you've invested that time, it's like anything. I think people are lazy, people get overwhelmed, they get emotional, and they overcomplicate it. And even me, right? I overanalyze. We've been laughing about this. I'm like, this is my head. And then I realized, like, oh, it wasn't that hard, right? So we just have to have a little bit more patience. And I think coming back to like the delivery, right? Some people may be turned off by the truth and the accuracy because they just want to be entertained, right? But you will find those people that appreciate you for who you are. And that's how I go about life. Like, it's not for everyone, and what I do or what I say and how I work is not going to be appealing to everyone. But I really hope that more people, and a lot of people, take a closer look and say, is there something here for me? Because once you've gained those skills, you have it. And like you said, you have that, you walk around with confidence and you feel at ease. You get out of bed and you feel amazing. Like, the strength and how that also translates into life, the quality of life that then you can build upon, is, to me, health is a foundation. And I think we have a really wrong idea of what we expect of our bodies and minds without even maintaining them or taking care of them. We've gone really lazy, very sedentary. And if you look at the school system, right?
Oh,
Children don't play anymore. They
don't
don't
even get me
move.
started about the educational system.
We should do a podcast on that. But it's, if children are forced to sit down, we know, or you and I know what that does to the human body. We quickly, I had someone comment on my story that my hips shouldn't go below the knees, all those things that we were talking about, but he didn't understand that that's actually a must. You have to do full range of motion for your joints. Look at an infant who starts, go from crawling to walking, like, it's full range of motion, multidimensional. And we become very robotic as adults. We work only in the sagittal plane. We walk, maybe we stand up, and that's it. We don't expose our bodies to all these different planes
And you should
and
be.
ranges of
You should
motions.
be
So
rotating. You should have a mobile spine and ribs. You should be moving laterally. You should be spinning, twisting,
exactly.
horizontal, on the ground, on all fours, on your back. You should be doing all of these things. But
I
real
think
quick,
for,
let's
oh,
just start wrapping this up because it's
yes.
it's getting on here. I wanted to break some exciting news, per usual. I think it's exciting, but that's me. So I'll be sharing my journey over the next
Mhm.
90 days. I was inspired by this lovely gentleman most of you already know named Rich Piana. He was a wonderful man in the fitness industry. He told it like it was. He was the head of 5%, long since passed, as many of you know. But he did a really cool series where he did bigger by the day. Now, of course, in this series, he was following around his very rich, glamorous lifestyle. He was taking all kinds of drugs. He was talking about the drugs he was taking. He was showing you his workouts, etc. It's going to be all the same things for me, except it's better by the day. You'll be getting an education as to what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it. You'll be seeing my morning routines, my night routines. You'll be getting a glimpse into my personal life, the books I read, the activities I do, the places I go and hang out, why I do so, how I run my company. You're going to see my workouts. You're going to see exactly many different styles of training. And here's the best part is at the end of it all, my entire process is going to be documented and then it's going to be available exactly as I do it in planned format, exactly kind of like what you have, only it's going to be my exact plan that I personally follow. Now, the cool thing is I'm structuring this that I'll be doing it slightly different than how I normally do things. I'm going to be structuring this for the general population. So instead of customizing it specifically to myself, the next 90 days are going to be how just about anybody who's not doing some very sport specific thing could be living their lifestyles with this style of morning routine, waking up, taking their supplements, drinking their shake, doing their breath work, doing their morning jump rope and jogging, etc. Then dealing with clients. You'll get some clips of how I train my clients, then doing the things that I do. Then later on at night, you'll see my night routine. You're going to see my food, my meals, all these things. And if I'm able to do it all right, it's going to be about an hour every single day, uploaded when I can load it, but it'll be 90 days consistently. If you guys want to follow along, I thought that'd be pretty cool. I was trying to think of something good to do for the new year. This is what came to me. I've been off YouTube for a little over a month now. I haven't put anything up. So this will be a fun way to come back, I think. And thank you so much for coming on and talking about your experience. And looking forward to doing some more stuff with you soon as well. We'll be doing another podcast as well, but this one should be about, something educational instead of going on about this kind of stuff. But thank you so very much. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
And it was a wonderful time having you on. I'm sure a lot of people got some good info out of this.
Thank you.
All right, my dear. You have a wonderful night.
I hope you all enjoyed that podcast, and if anyone is interested in getting any of my materials, books, articles, tools, or direct coaching from me, or perhaps an online coaching plan, all of my links are in the description below to my Etsy store, to my website, my Substack, where you can read articles, as well as all of my other various links to my social media platforms. Looking forward to helping you all in the future. Thank you all for your support.